Hello, I'm the Short Gal, and this is my show. This show is not just for short gals. The idea for the title is to use it as a metaphor, as I see being short a disadvantage in the society I live in. But this podcast is not about the vertically challenged. It's about conversations and sometimes monologues on how people have been able to overcome challenges. It's about society, leadership, and advice on sometimes mundane but familiar subjects. Episode 5, Challenge. I'm addicted to technology. I truly love technology, and those who know me well know that I enjoy the world of zeros and ones and devices. And I cannot deny that I love video production gear. The challenge really comes when looking or researching technology becomes a source of great anxiety and creates a sense of wanting to get the latest and the newest all the time. It also creates a sense of competition, and to go to the extreme, a little bit of an addiction to getting new gear. I don't have an addiction to buying clothes or shoes, but boy, I love a new gadget. I still remember when my husband got me my first e-reader back in the 2000s, and I kept getting asked at airports what it was. This is pre-Kindle popularity time. So it was a Sony e-reader with my name engraved on it. It is somewhere here in the house, I think. I don't know where. Oh, it felt so good to attract those looks of tech envy. Now, of course, everyone carries an e-reader or a tablet. Nothing new about that. Sometimes the only thing between me and a new device is my sense of responsibility for not getting into credit card debt again. We got rid of credit card debt some years ago, and we haven't looked back since. And I'm not about to get into that game again. Maybe this should be the topic of another podcast. In any case, that doesn't mean that I don't feel the need to own more technology. Before we get any further, I will mention some brands here. In fact, I already did. I'm not being endorsed by any company, and it is not my intention to badmouth any brand either. There will be some examples of what I use and what I've seen others use. This problem is real, and it consumes the American society. The American Psychological Association, or APA, released a paper with results of their yearly survey called Stress in America, Coping with Change, where they describe this loving but stressful relationship Americans have with technology and social media. Quote, "This attachment to devices and the constant use of technology is associated with higher stress levels for these Americans. Generally, near 1/5 of Americans, 18%, identify the use of technology as a very or somewhat significant source of stress. The most stressful aspect, Americans say technology causes the most stress when it doesn't work, 20%, end quote. While this refers mostly to the attachment to mobile devices, it is a good indicator on what the nation is going through from the point of view of a negative impact to mental and physical health that keeping up with technology is bringing. An article from The Atlantic mentioned, and I quote, "A startling 69% of Americans said that having the latest technology is totally necessary to their lives, according to the results of the most recent Heartland Monitor poll. High earners, college grads, African Americans, and Hispanics are among the groups of people who consider technology the most necessary to their day-to-day routines." End quote. So this is my challenge and this is my case. I know everyone experiences this differently, but let me tell you a little bit of background, and then we will get into some techniques I use to keep me in check. So first, technology inevitably is part of everyone's day-to-day activities. There's no going back on this. Second, it's part of my job to stay current with computer technology and audio and video equipment, as well as mobile technology. On any given day, I will research a couple of pieces of equipment or specs on a new computer system. I don't think there is a day that goes by that I don't read something about technical specifications, mainly on computers. Recently, we heard the announcement from Apple about the new iMac coming out in December. My personal opinion, I don't care too much for a computer that I can't upgrade, and I hear that the Mac Pro will be somewhat upgradable. I've gotten really tired of getting stuck in the hamster wheel of buying new gear. But for those in the audiovisual industry, I can't speak for other industries, this is part of our process of adapting to a changing world. A world that changes cameras and equipment every 6 months. This changing world creates perceived needs through great marketing from big brands that make you believe that you need to upgrade when in fact, sometimes the changes in the new upgraded product are not significant. This is a thought from my brother the environmentalist. The amount of waste that is generated by old technology is not helping Mother Earth be happy. So this is another thought to keep in mind. Some of the things that I look at regularly are cameras, lenses, camera accessories, computers, VR technology, that is as in virtual reality, drones, and wearable technology. Anything on video technology in general. Looking at new technology became a time waster, frankly. But more importantly, it's the anxiety and sense of false urgency to get something new that I thought was harmful to my productivity and peace of mind. So here are some techniques that I'm applying to not feel the need to constantly upgrade gear. Number 1, unsubscribe from store email blasts. Do you feel everything is a great deal? Do you feel like you have to get something just because it is 10% or 20% off? You know that discounts are driven by new technology becoming available. For example, the new EVA-1 from Panasonic, this is a professional camera, has driven the price of the Sony FS5 down. This will be familiar to those in the video production business. But the idea here is that the stores are not really giving you a great discount. This has been driven by more and more gear coming out. Number 2, delete all Amazon suggestions, in the same vein as point number 1. Number 3, do you suffer from some serious FOMO, fear of missing out? If you do, your wallet better be huge. I try not to think about what others have as a direct competition to me. I have also convinced myself that better and more expensive technology does not replace my experience and trained eye. Number 4, repurpose and try to achieve great results with what you have, or buy an accessory that will enhance what you already own. For example, I own the Lumix GH4, and knowing its limitations, I compensate that by owning a good set of lenses. Number 5, rent what you don't think it's worth keeping for more than 3 months. Some people are afraid of renting. I think they feel it's too much of a risk to use someone else's equipment. I recently listened to a podcast on video production, and this particular professional prefers to simply buy since the money comes from the paid shoot. I beg to differ and think that there are some things that are not worth buying to keep them in storage. That's just my personal opinion. Number 6, when I'm looking for something specific, I do an ROI assessment and ask myself if I will use the item at least once a month for the next year. I try to calculate at least 1 year, ideally 4-year shelf life. Number 7, if I must upgrade, I try to let go of something that I don't use. You have a very short window of time to resell equipment and still get something reasonable for it, with the exception of certain brands such as Apple. Depreciation is real, so if you don't want your camera to become a doorstep, then consider reselling your equipment within a reasonable period of time. Number 8, I try to diversify and make sure technology blogs, articles, and podcasts are not all that I read and listen to, as this keeps my mind thinking about what else to buy all day. Number 9, forget about keeping up with the Joneses. It's exhausting. As I said before, I'm not going to make the gear I own replace my self-worth. I see this a lot among video crews, and it gets to a point where it is exasperating. I also avoid attending trade shows, as this makes the need even more poignant. Number 10, I try to avoid regret of buying something you really didn't need. I also don't buy the day something becomes available. I usually wait to hear reviews, and sometimes this helps me make a decision on perhaps buying something gently used. I go back to my ROI assessment on technology there. So those are my 10 tips on keeping your technology stress in check. But if you absolutely love gear and have a pathological desire to always buy and use new equipment and are getting into debt, look into opportunities to test products for certain brands, especially if you are very knowledgeable in a certain line of products or industry. Lastly, don't be unethical and buy stuff to use and return. We have a zero tolerance for doing that here at home. And if I buy something that I realize later that I made a mistake by purchasing it, and it was truly for a one-time use, I sell it on eBay or other platforms indicating its condition of like new or barely used, and try to get a few bucks back, but I don't return it to get my money back. That's wrong. Well, that was my take on addiction to technology, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Do you experience the same? Are you the kind of person who camps outside of an Apple store or Best Buy and want to give us your thoughts on what your motivations are? Please do. This is not a platform for me to criticize anyone, as we all have our challenges, but I hope we can foster some dialogue. Well, thanks for listening, and those who downloaded my other 4 episodes, thank you so much for the love. I will be back next week with another case, and I'm the short gal, and this is my show. Thanks.